about the love she coming through. She's a 9. That's what I thought, no move with the 5. Just put our differences to the side. Let's go. You get a nigga like me, don't lie. The love she coming through tonight. No move with the 5. Put our differences to the side. To the side. I raised you up, don't you lie. I'm not a hustler, I'm out the way. I'm out the way. No bitch, but don't even.
Hey, hello. Welcome. Happy Tuesday and welcome to the Mrs. Best Reviews channel. I am Mrs. Best. Obviously, I would hope there's not another me. We are here to add another show to our mini recaps that we do. As you guys know, you'll see Mrs. Best song reviews, recaps, and more. I do a lot, but mainly recaps and song reviews, but my recaps lately have been taken over. So, in addition to the housewives and basketball wives and, all the rich wives that couldn't keep their men, we are adding another show full of divorced people. We're going to go over TLC's show, The Family Chantel. This is a new season of the show, and this show, for those who are unsure, is a spinoff from the 90 Day Fiancé, which is pretty popular. I think 90 Day Fiancé is kind of like Love After Lockup in that the concepts are so different. People are just like, oh, I gotta watch. And yes, I am aware. It does say season 5, episode 2, even though this is the first episode. But I label my episodes based on what the cable companies say, what YouTube TV, Comcast, Xfinity, whatever they put, I label that. Episode 1 was technically a refresher for the previous season, which I like that TLC does that, because aside from TLC and WeTV, not a lot of people do like the recaps properly of what happened. Anywho, we're going to jump right into it. And for those wondering what my background is, as you know, Mrs. Best Reviews does song reviews as well as recaps. So this is the EP, aka cover art for Oh So Best and Be Money Be Manifested, both independent artists and rappers outside of the Bay Area who have an EP dropping on all platforms. So I encourage y'all to listen to it. They got video coming, all those things. Anywho, moving along. So the first thing we see on this episode of Family Chantel, and I'm about to talk shit. This isn't a show where I can like ethically recap or trying to, prevent people from, feeling offended. No, these people's hot mess express, y'all. And I mean that. So I'm just about to talk shit because may as well have fun, right? So basically they're explaining PEDRO and Chantel's relationship. And pretty much we're just finding out like how they fell apart, because for those who have been under a rock or are not familiar with this show, PEDRO and Chantel are divorcing. They are actually now done. They are legally divorced. They are done with each other. So I guess congratulations. I never know what to say. Some people, when they get divorced, they're like, yes, it's over. And then you got some people who are like devastated and go through that whole thing where they say divorce is like a death and you have to grieve. I think if you got married for the right intentions, then it should be very difficult to go through a divorce. I'm not saying it should be difficult to, be apart from the person, like physically, like you learn to live without them, but you still like feel sad because you crave and miss the good parts of them. So we see that, and basically we've known they was gonna fall apart. And Miss Karen, who we're gonna talk about later, aka Chantel's mama, she has been saying since 90 Day Fiancé and season 1 of The Family Chantel, I think he's using my daughter. I think his family wants us so they could come to America. So now she looking like she might have been right based on my opinion. Everything I'm saying is alleged. I ain't trying to get sued by nobody. So, based on what I see, I think that it's a combination of him using her and maybe her in some ways using him, but we'll get into that later. So they want a divorce. Basically, she finished college, and when she went to work, because she's a nurse and she went to work post-COVID. So that means that she went to work with a lot more than nurses would normally deal with. She's in a field that is necessary. I don't know if you guys know, there was a lot of medical worker burnout. I know that's not the legit or, set term for it, but I'm sorry, y'all. I got allergies. My nose was itching, but that is the actual term. So, a lot of nurses, doctors are burnt out from COVID. They went through the worst of it. Working, having their loved ones. So I get that with Chantel going into it. So basically Pedro felt like she needed to cook, clean, be around more. And then she did everything that, he asked, and then there still was not a connection. And then he got his job and went on top, and they basically split apart from that. And this happens, unfortunately, only 2 years after they purchased their first home together. So I'm like, I'm just going to say, I think money leads towards changes in people. You find out who you're really with when you're broke or rich. I think that, but so we see Chantel washing her dogs in the tub. She's got 2 little Pomeranians. I don't understand the point of dogs like that. I just don't. Like, cats are cute too, and you don't have to pick up their shit. Like, if you're gonna get a dog, get a dog. All right, fucking Pomeranian. Anyway, obviously, I like pit bulls and Rottweilers and Great Danes. Those are my favorite breeds of dog. Anywho, so she's washing the dogs in the tub, and we find out, I'm thinking when she's setting up the tub, because let me tell you, Chantel and her family are extra. She lit the little tea candles. I was like, okay, she's about to take a bath. She got the little setup for when you're in the tub. Your phone can sit, your special, exfoliants, whatever the hell, your bath bombs. But Chantel, I'm just like, this is all for the dog in that tub. I don't get dog owners when they do shit like that. Stop that. But we find out Winter has been living with her, and Winter is her younger sister. And Winter and Chantel have done this. They've done this, in my opinion. Like, they have a sister relationship. I think that Winter is extremely insecure, and Chantel can be extremely shallow, or one to go with what the in crowd or popular kids are with. And Winter's just not like that. And I think she's insecure because of her weight and stuff. So I think that's mostly where their issues come from. But they obviously love the shit out of each other, because I wouldn't move in with my little sister. Love you, Naima, but I would not live with her. I absolutely would not. So, we find out when she's washing the dogs that Winter's moved into the house so that Chantel is not so lonely, because Chantel is still in the house that she and Pedro purchased together. They were supposed to be their little family home. So then we see Pedro. We get updates at the beginning. And I'm going to go over everything because it is the premiere episode. So for those who are like, I don't want to watch the updates, I encourage you to fast forward it like maybe 1 or 2 minutes, because it shouldn't take too long. But we see Pedro, and he's coaching kids. And the first thing that went through my mind you, this could be the messy, toxic Gemini me, but the first thing that went through my mind is, this motherfucker working with kids so that he could look good for immigration in the court. I turned into Mama Karen, because I'm like, Pedro been on this show and on our TV screens for many years, at least dating back to like 2016, 2015. So it's kind of strange that now suddenly you're interested in giving back, volunteering, philanthropy, if you will. I don't understand why he is suddenly into this, but at the same time, if kids benefit because you want to make yourself look like a saint, I don't care. I'm glad the kids are benefiting. So I'm happy to see that he was doing things with children. I just remember being a kid, and when we had teachers, because I am from California, I'm from the Bay Area, so I'm from a very diverse place. And we have a lot of people in California who are not English speakers of a variety of cultures, because, California is like New York, it's a melting pot. But when I was a little girl, I had a karate instructor, because I did a little bit of capoeira. And the damn instructor was not from here. I'm not sure where he's from. But I had trouble as a little girl understanding his accent, probably because I was slow. But I had trouble. So I was looking at the kids. Pedro said something, and they kind of looked like, okay. So anywho, we find out Pedro says that his lawyer told him that he should not talk to Chantel. And this is why Chantel and Pedro have not spoken, which we find out for over 9 months. And I personally feel like if you're divorcing or breaking up, you don't need to speak. I never understand either, like, when people get ready to leave, like, just get your shit, or you'll, whatever people you need to come pick up your shit and move it along. I don't understand why people don't do that. I don't. But I think it's good they haven't talked for 9 months, because people divorcing really should not talk. What the hell are you going to talk about? You couldn't get along to make it work. So probably not going to be able to get along and make it work when you're, separating, obviously, and fighting over money, which came up in this episode, money, so many times. Like, they can each say that they pro were probably in their relationship for the materialism aligned with financials in some way. And I will get to that soon. So he ain't spoke to her. She ain't spoke to him. And he claims that he misses Chantel. But at the same time, I'm like, how are you going to say that you miss her? That's some manipulative type of shit. Narcissistic, manipulative, sociopathic people tend to do shit like that. You left her. So like, if you missed her, you could have went back. But don't say you missed something that you left, because you left this. You don't miss it. Obviously, it was too bad for you to feel like it was worth it. I say this because Chantel did not file for divorce. He did. So I'm like, you left, but you miss her? But then all in the same sentence in the next breath we see later in the confessional, he's like, yeah, I stopped loving her. Was that easy for you to stop loving her? Let me tell y'all a fun story. I tried to leave Mr. Best years ago. Didn't work. He pissed me off. I tried to leave. Didn't work. I still live with him. We're still together and happy and all that shit. But I have a crazy temper, so there's that. Anywho, moving it along, they pretty much spend like half of the episode, like the beginning of it, just talking about their families and their opinions, and pretty much just taking the opportunity to like talk shit about each other on camera. Like, we give a damn. We just wanted to watch your crazy families, because no shade, Pedro by himself and Chantel by herself are not interesting enough to watch on the show. It only worked for a concept like 90 Day Fiance. However, like individually as people, especially being from a state where we have like people from all over the world, illegals, all that type of shit. It's like, you guys aren't really interesting together. Your families are funny as hell and messy. That's what makes the show. So basically, Chantel says her mom was right, and we find out that they have been struggling to settle. But I was happy to hear this couple. If you guys watch my friend James's channel, Watch Your Mouth Reviews, shout out to James Jackson, who is also at our third checkout Fraternity Row on Amazon. We watch shows where, you know, people go through divorces, and we're like, for instance, Kenya Moore, she's still going through a divorce. Ashley Darby is still not divorced. Just people from, you know, other reality shows who've been going through a divorce for a year. Pedro and Chantel was not playing. They got that shit handled, finalized, and figured out. So Chantel did withdraw $265,000 from her and Pedro's shared bank account, which I'm sure, because we have not seen him do anything outside of work at a damn warehouse and, you know, complain on this show. I'm pretty sure that money came from her and the show. She's the one with jobs and is a nurse and all of this. Pedro has gotten into real estate, but I'm pretty sure while he was taking the time to get his real estate license, he wasn't making the most money, and she probably supported him. So he's really upset throughout this show because she withdrew the money, which I did see on the tabloids. I said, you go, bitch. Because these men, honestly, people, when they break it up, I can't even say it's specific to men, be feeling like they forget that you kind of helped them, you know, get to that point. And it's like, you're not about to disrespect me, leave, and then think I'm going to let you just spend my money. No, sir. No. I gave you citizenship, she said. So, and it's just craziness. So long story short, getting back on track, we find out from Chantel that they have made an offer to settle. They don't want to go to trial. Divorces are messy. I don't think anybody wants to go to trial for a divorce, like whatsoever. Nobody wants to deal with that shit. So they settle, and the settlement is fair. Basically, the final offer is her offering to just split the assets pretty much 50-50. So she's waiting on Pedro to accept that offer. So the next thing we see is his evil ass family. I think Pedro, his mom and sister are all bad eggs, and I will get into that. And I don't think there's hope for them. So they come on the screen looking dusty as hell. Listen, I ain't Beyonce. I might not be the most beautiful person out there, but I found my person. Therefore, I don't really give a fuck how the rest of y'all feel about me as long as he likes it. So I'm going to just talk my shit. Pedro's mama and sister, even with the plastic surgery, is still just a little bit unattractive to me. I don't think they're the most unattractive women. And I'm not just saying that because of their behavior, because when I first saw the show, I saw them, but I'm looking at them and I'm like, oh, it's kind of like that girl on that Zeus show with the ignorant young women, the baddies, the big one, the heavyset girl, the Rolly. I always see her. I don't watch it, but I always see her on the internet just unattractive and angrily attacking people. And it reminds me of Pedro's family, because I'm like, it's always somebody that's miserable, unattractive, or fucking crazy that wants to call somebody else evil. I just don't understand it. So obviously Pedro's family is happy about the divorce, even though last season Lydia was, I want my son's relationship to work. Lady, you just don't want us to forget how you got your kids. Let's not forget Pedro's mom. Y'all can feel how you feel, but I'm commenting on what I see on TV. This wench had her kids with a man that she knew belonged to somebody else. And then she says, oh, that's a part of Dominican culture. I have friends who are literally first generation American. Some of them are new to the country and just no generation. They just finally got the visas accepted and came over. I tell you this, they say that's not how the Dominican community is. I think every community, just like an American culture, African culture, here, some people like polyamory as a way of life. Some people like to sleep with and be with multiple people, don't care, okay with situationships. But Pedro's mama got into a situationship and intentionally had kids with this man, knowing he had another family and would never leave his wife. Then his mom cried about how brokenhearted and how shitty his dad was. And we find out in the last season that basically his dad probably could have made more of an effort to be around, but it sounds like his mom kept him from that. So I'm looking like that definitely rubbed off on your kids, because they seem to be concerned about materialism in love. They say Chantel stole from Pedro. They can't steal. So here's the thing. Pedro kept saying Chantel stole from him, and Chantel kept saying that it's her money and Pedro has stolen, lied, cheated, all of this. They married. So any people who are not married, sit down and be quiet. And if you're divorced, I don't really want your advice either, because, well, you're divorced. You can only tell us about, the laws of divorce in your state, but that money belonged to both of them. So if it's a joint account, you can't steal it. Like, I do music reactions. Check me out, by the way. I charge for music reactions. And when that happens, the money deposits to a joint account versus mine or Mr. Best's personal account. Like, whatever's in your joint account is shared. So it's like, yeah, you should let your spouse know if you withdraw money, Chantel. But at the same time, if she decides to withdraw money, that's not stealing from you, because both names are on the account. Anywho, it's interesting how people get divorced and they forget the rules of like life, like banking. Like, both of your names are on the account. You both have rights to do it. He just mad she got to it before he did. That's how I feel. So we basically hear that Chantel returns the money when Pedro's talking to his raggedy ass family. We find out that Chantel did return the money, most of it. So she took out and withdrew the entire bank balance, which was $265K. She only returned $205K. She kept $60,000 for herself. And we find out from her, she says, even though Pedro's trying to make it seem like she's bullshitting, we then find out from her that she used the money to pay bills, her attorney, to get a divorce, and all this stuff. And I'm kind of looking at Pedro like, you really not smart. You must really just understand real estate, because you filed for divorce. You tried to leave this woman. Everybody's heard of a scorned woman. I know everyone's heard of that. So like, if you leave a woman who's actively trying to like be with you and hasn't left you yet, you got to expect that she's going to be scorned and trouble, especially when she's been accusing you of cheating and all types of other shit. So it's kind of dumb to file for divorce and not take whatever money you may need or want from that joint account before she got the paperwork. Like, I would have been took money out of that shit before I filed. But Pedro's not the most intelligent, so I'm going to leave him there. And do not anybody come on my fucking channel telling me I'm saying that because of race or anything like that. Like, no, it doesn't matter what color you are. You can have the ability to be stupid. And I don't think that Pedro is the most intelligent person. So I will leave it there with that. But we then find out more drama of this relationship. I'm sorry if I'm all over the place. I'm doing my best to recap, but this is a hot mess. It's messy. So basically, we find that out about the money. She did return her portions and provided, from what I could look up online, receipts and stuff to the court for, what she spent, the part that she kept on. So Pedro keeps trying to like make Chantel look crazy in the confessionals. And then when he tries to make her look crazy in the confessionals, it's like, then the producers choose to show us like the scene where we're finding out what actually happened. And it seems like Chantel understands a little bit the court system. I think that Pedro does have a little bit of a disadvantage because court in America is different from court in England. Court in England could be different from court in the Dominican Republic. Court in the Dominican Republic could be different from court in Africa. Shit, I don't know. But I know that different states follow different laws and things of that nature. I am not a lawyer. I'm just a chick with a degree in psychology talking shit about a show. But I definitely can understand both sides of it. Now, Pedro accuses Chantel of calling immigration. He says he knows that she called because he's gotten multiple letters from immigration, things like that. I'm like, why is that Chantel? I think he forgets that you guys are public figures. So while I don't doubt that Chantel was probably like, oh, motherfucker, you want to leave me? Government? Let me tell you about this Negro. Like, she probably did try to do some spiteful shit. I don't want nobody to think I'm not, like, being fair, but your divorce is like public. The money was public. I saw all of this before the show premiered. So if I could see it, you forget that people working for the government are just regular people like us and have their own Instagrams, the ability to see socials. It could have been from anywhere. You can't just blame her on the fact that immigration is calling you. They calling you because you're an immigrant and you selling houses, Pedro. They want to make sure that you're in fear at all times so they can get their taxes. Y'all know the government don't care about us. I'm just sorry. That's my opinion, but that's what their concern is. So basically, Pedro says that the immigration thing is a problem with her, as stated. But the last thing that makes me think that immigration is not just bothering him because of this divorce, y'all know how busy they are. Like, for one, why are they going to single you out? And then for two, immigrants, people who come to this country and attain their green cards and whatever appropriate paperwork comes with that, because I don't know, I was born here. But when you come here, there's a lot of other people who've come to this country in his situation as immigrants who have filed for divorce and divorced as well. So, I don't know if anybody has family or anything in that. Let me know if that's something, in the comments that you've heard about, even if you're watching our live replay, because I appreciate those who watch when we're live and when we're not, because I'm like, I don't know enough about immigration, but I don't want to discount what he's saying she's done, because if she is attacking his citizenship because of this divorce, stop. Because most of the stuff that you're telling immigration, they're probably already aware of because he's in court with you. So I don't know. That's the thing. You're trying to separate. So why do the final tit for tat? Eventually, in the end, you're not going to be together. So why put this effort into sabotaging his immigration if that's the case? I don't know. But in my opinion, no matter how any of us feel about Pedro or how we feel about him coming to this country, he is in America now, and he is in America paying taxes. He's doing right in America. He's living his life right. He's what people would want out of a citizen. I don't feel we should kick someone out of the country just because of their failed relationship if they're paying taxes and doing some of the shit that actual citizens can't do, But that's just me. I think they should keep it between them and leave it there, because at the end of the day, Chantel, the karma that you can feel, you'll never have to file debt paperwork, renew a green card. She'll never have to worry about her status as a citizen. He does. Can that be enough as a get back? So I really hope she's not doing nothing to that man. I do. But moving it along, we see Chantel and her friend Destiny, who we saw last season. Destiny's kind of the one, it seems like, that Chantel runs to talk to about her relationship and things of that nature. And her friend takes her to see the lawyer. And basically, when she's at the lawyer, we basically find out that Pedro has agreed to her offer. So I think that's wonderful. It looks like there's going to be some type of peace. I'm like, okay, well, maybe the season will be, them showing they're going their separate ways without each other. How I'm coming into the shit newly single. But, they got the paperwork done. So I'm happy about that. So we find out that Pedro signed a paper. Apologies for looking down, y'all. I am looking at notes. Got my little handy dandy phone because it's just, otherwise I'll go everywhere. So the papers, we find out that Pedro signs the paper and Chantel signs a settlement offer, which is wonderful. And the reason that they say they both signed it is because they both just want to be done. It sounds like they're both tired of fighting. They're both tired of arguing. They're both tired of going back and forth, which I can understand. Breaking up is draining. Divorce is draining. Honestly, any type of altercation is just like draining when it's not positive, in my personal opinion. So she ends up basically crying after signing the paperwork and all of that. She said she wanted kids, and I get that. That sucks, man. Get with someone, you think you're going to be with them, and all the stuff she went through for my 90 Day Fiance fans to get his ass here. I'm just like, dang. Can you imagine? Most of people nowadays just swipe left. Boom, husband sometimes. But, this chick that worked multiple jobs, went to another country, dragged his ass here, dealt with his crazy ass, angry ass family. I said, oh, Lord, I just cannot. So just Chantel basically tells us the next thing we find out is they're going to sell the house. So we go get to the details of this settlement offer within their divorce. And I'm going to look down and read. So we find out that the proceeds basically, let's start first. So Chantel thinks that Pedro deserves nothing and should go back to his country since he only left his country for love. And she says that now that he has no more love, that there's no reason for him to be in America. I'm just like, I think in her mind, she's like, he needs to leave so he can show he wasn't using me. But it's like, honey, I'm sorry. When you compare being in America to the Dominican Republic, I don't think that has anything to do with love. That's realistic that he wouldn't want to be there, in my opinion. So they're going to split the proceeds for their house 50-50. So they each will get half. So they bought the home together while they were married. And this is usually happens for those unfamiliar with divorce. Usually if the house is in both parties' name, if they can't agree to who's going to have the house, then they'll agree to sell it. So that's what they've done in this case. So what happens is she reveals that Pedro, in the term of selling the house, he tried to offer Chantel only 25% of selling the house because of to recover the money that she took out of the account. And so that he can, have more money or whatever, talk about, I can get us more money. Boy, don't act like you worried about getting her more money. You worried about yourself, because Pedro works for a real estate company. So if he sells the house, he's probably going to be able to choose to own the terms, have full control of it. She won't know if he's selling that house for $1 or $150,000. She won't know. I wouldn't trust him with that either. And he's crazy to think that offering 25% of a home that most of her money went into y'all getting is crazy to me, Pedro. Absolutely insane. So we find out that that is not what he's going to get. He's doing everything he can to make it look like he's a victim. And I never trust people who do everything they can to make it look like they're victims. So you have to have some type of fault or accountability in the situation. So Chantel was smart and went through the attorneys. And I don't think Pedro understood that, which just shows how trash of an attorney his mom is. Because remember, y'all, Miss Lydia is a divorce attorney. So I'm like, your mom's a divorce attorney. Obviously, laws are different because he didn't understand the process at all. So Chantel hires an outside agent to sell the house, meaning neither of them get commission. A realtor will get commission. And I think that's fair because they don't have the bandwidth to solve problems together, which is why they're not together. Irreconcilable differences, as they call it in court. So they show clips of their relationship while they're, signing the paperwork and all of that. And, clearly based on Pedro's words and behaviors and actions, I don't think he was ever that in love with Chantel. I think that Chantel's assets, if y'all know what I mean, I'm pretty sure her assets are what kept him in it. And if we look at the clips that they showed, he said when they got married, he's like, my wife, she's beautiful. She's got a great body. She's got this, she's got that. He's very, 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 very shallow, it seems, for what he was explaining. She's like, good times. I thought he'd be my husband. And he's like, the body was banging. So I'm just kind of like, they obviously have two different ideas of what love is. And I think that people would different ideas on what love consists of or is are going to struggle when they are together. Anywho, for those who are watching, be sure to like the video if you like what I'm saying, or comment your opinions if you disagree and want to share yours. I like to see what everybody thinks about the show. I appreciate those who are watching. Let's get back into it. We are about halfway done with this episode recap, though. Thank God, because there was so much. So next thing we see is Chantel explaining after those clips that she doesn't think her family is going to understand her choice to settle. I don't think her family is going to understand her choice to settle. Chantel's family is crazy. But like in a good way. They are crazy in a good way. Hello, oh so best. You're watching me lurking from work. He's the guy in the background of my photo. Thank you for watching. Anywho, Hot Mess Express, this damn family. Let me look at my notes. Chantel and her family go out to eat, and I was waiting on them. Like, they're why I watched this show. Specifically, Mama Karen. She's funny as hell to me. And I kind of like Pedro's sister. I don't like her, but watching her is funny. So while they're out to eat, you know, her mom and dad are just, it seemed like they was waiting on the camera to speak about this divorce. They're standing, her dad's like this on the side of the mom, as he always is, and Miss Karen with her hat. His family, and I won't say I told you so, but they came and they thought that my daughter was going to be their ticket to America. Strong woman, independent woman. I said, oh, Lord. I said, Lord, have mercy. Miss Karen reminds me of my mother-in-law. Like, she's a girl's girl. She's going to uplift you. It's just what it is. So their family is literally out to eat, celebrating Chantel's divorce, which I thought was funny. They try to, you know, tell the waiter, like, we need to drink for a new single woman, a woman who is independent. He's like, can I recommend the Summer Sadness? I'm like, what? That's what you go recommend, Mr. Waiter? He said, I'm not here for the TV and shit. I'm just the hostess. Please sit down. Go away from me. Stop talking to me about your divorce. And I don't know if you guys know that when you go out to eat at places. Hey, former waitress and hostess here. But I think I speak for all employees who work in customer service and or food service when I say, we don't care. We really don't give a fuck what's going on in your life. I don't care if you got divorced and your auntie Sue's in town and you found out she was sleeping with your cousin Rick. I don't care. How can I take your order? How many's in your party? And be sure to leave a nice little tip. I don't care about your personal life. That's why they give you hourly also. So I just feel like people need to stop doing that. But anywho, they walk in, her family's extra, the mom is funny, and her little accent that she was doing while talking shit about Pedro, it did not sound like Pedro. Go watch or Google it on YouTube. I'm sure you can find little clips and stuff. I may not be supposed to say that, but you know, whatever. Everybody does it. But go check it out. I'm telling you, this lady's accent did not sound anything like anybody who speaks Spanish, whether they're Mexican, Dominican, no one of Latin or Hispanic origin. She sounded like Arnold in the Terminator. No. Anywho, we find out at the end of the dinner with her family that she's not looking forward to meeting up with Pedro because they have to meet with the realtor in order to start the process of selling the property. Moving it along. We got to see Pedro's family. I don't like these people. I don't. The only time I was kind of invested in his family on the show was when his sister was dating the married man, Alejandro. I said, oh my God. I think Pedro the only one in that family that'll ever get married. Also, just saying that. But I don't know why we need to see his mom and sister, like their individual storylines, because outside of talking shit, they're not interesting. So we do hear Lydia say that she feels like her kids don't listen to her, and she feels like they need to listen to her because she did not want Nicole with Alejandro and she did not want Pedro with Chantel. But at the same time, Lydia only seems, in my opinion, from what I watched from 90 Day Fiancé to now, it seems like Lydia only would have been nice to Chantel if she could have came to America. I just don't think Lydia is a good person, personally. But she was right about her kids' relationships. And even though it's so easy to say, oh, they wanted to use Chantel, and when they found out they couldn't, they were mean. I think she would have been a bitch either way if she was getting what she wanted from Chantel or if she wasn't. Like, that's just personally how I feel. But, you know, it is what it is. Anywho, the mom, Pedro, the sister, they all lack accountability when discussing Chantel. They just keep referring to her as this evil woman. And I'm like, you guys say she's evil, but your son is living a better life than y'all could have provided for him because of her. Because I know the wait list to get into America is long, y'all. So listen, that's all I was saying. I just find it interesting that they want to place so much anger and, you know, hate on Chantel. And I know family's going to stick beside you and be loyal. But at the same time, I'm like, y'all have physically attacked this woman, assaulted her family, talked about them when they weren't talking about you. Like, at least Chantel and them tried with the people. And then when they get back and Chantel's family, like, y'all want to talk like you want to fight? Let's go. What's up? Then they act like the victims. Like, this is why my best advice is someone who's been married for over a decade and with the same person for over a decade. Like, have your family around, love your people, but they don't need to know all the ins and outs of your relationship. They don't need to be in your business. They don't need to fight for you. Check them. Put your dogs on a leash. And I never understood why Pedro did not do that with his mom and family. The only time he was willing to stop talking to her was when he found out some shit about his mama being a hoe at the campo. And I can't. Like, you don't have to hate your family, but the stuff that they were allowed to do to Chantel for years, I'm sure more happened off camera, but it was not necessary. It just wasn't. So basically, Pedro keeps saying Chantel has a double personality when he's talking about having to meet up with her when they go to the real estate. And, you know, Chantel, I don't think anybody is who they really are on TV as they are, you know, off of camera. Because naturally you're not gonna, you know, express yourself in that way. But I'm just kind of like annoyed with the family because and Pedro doesn't understand like Chantel's double personality, and men like to do this. I don't like her temper. I don't like this. Well, what'd you do to get her there? Was it when she found your coworkers' keychains and things when you should have been home with her? Was it when you were hollering at her about how she needs to wash her drawers to make you interested in her while you ignored her to go out with other bitches? Was it that, Pedro? Listen, every action has a reaction, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent. And I think that when people deal with the bad, they like to say, oh, this person has a double personality. What the fuck you do to make them mad then? Because no one's just doing that. And if they are, then they need psychological help. And we encourage them to go see, you know, someone in that field. But I don't know. I'm hoping this isn't going to be a whole season of them just like attacking each other, but I get the feeling that it is. So we did see Chantel and Pedro at their separate residences getting their little Toyotas, and they go to meet up for the meeting to sell the house. Now, in the confessional, it comes up the cheating, and Pedro swears he never cheated. Listen, tell the truth and shame the devil. And Pedro is not shaming the devil. That's all I can say. I think that man cheated. That's just how I feel. I do think he cheated. And I feel like the rumors with Karema, like in earlier seasons, the issues with Karema, Pedro he's not an unattractive man. So I guarantee he could get vaginas. And I feel like he takes advantage of that ability. That's really all I can say about that. But he swears he didn't cheat. But whenever people say no and can't provide like any proof, or they're overly defensive, or they dismiss it too fast, usually you are like, you're telling on yourself. According to the science of psychology and body language, he cheated. Anywho, Chantel arriving says she don't want Pedro to say shit to her, which I kind of understand. And I think that was actually the right approach. She's irritated. She's angry. I get that. And normally I'd be like, but you still got to speak. But the whole part of bringing in a third-party realtor is because you guys don't have the ability to speak. So let that third party do their job. There's not much to meet about. I mean, in the beginning, yeah, but essentially it's just the house. So anywho, the realtor gets to talking, and she mentions, okay, so I know you guys are going through a divorce, and that's unfortunate. Pedro, thank God. He does little shit like that. And it's like, Chantel's come in, she sat down. Like, she may not have had the best attitude, but she has not made a face at him. She has not looked his way. She tried to come in, mind her business, and handle it like adults. And I'm seeing now that it's him. That's the problem. And he's not the most intelligent, so he doesn't see that we can see that. And he thinks that he's still slick, but we see what you think that we don't see. Pedro. That's all. So Pedro was rude, talking about thank God for the divorce. And I was happy to see Chantel not entertain it, because I feel like the hook, like the little fishing hook, and he was hoping he could reel her in, but she's like, nah, I'm not about to play this game. So you could go to court and say that you have to sell the house because I'm impossible. You ain't slick, Rick. So we did see that Pedro says that he can sell the home himself and get more money after the real estate agent explained. So they bought their house for $290K, which, child, I need to move to Georgia. For those who don't know, I'm from California. I was born and raised in Oakland, but as an adult, I've floated all over the Bay Area. And no matter where the fuck I float, if I want to own a home, I'm pretty much, after bidding, going to end up paying almost $1 million. And that's not including the down payment, the closing costs, the inspection fees. It's hard to buy a home in the Bay Area for like everyone. So when I hear $290K and they said 5 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, they had a front and backyard that was big and a garage, I was like, Google it. California, get you a shack. It makes no sense. But at least like our renting is a little, I've been looking at New York rentals because I've been wanting to move over there in a few years. But I don't know if I'm gonna go there no more, because I was like, what the fuck? New York's charging $2,500 for a 1 bedroom? And then I looked and I was like, this is terrible, the look of it. So they are going to be able to sell their $290K home, which to me is cheap, for 400 and something K, which is still affordable for a house like that. And the commission would go to the realtor, and she will get, Pedro did the math, $25,000 on her commission for that. And he's like, say. So I'm like, Pedro, you're offending the real estate agent because she's only here because y'all can't agree. And then your real estate job, honestly, and your coworkers is part of the reason that, yeah, you're getting a divorce. So be quiet, Pedro. Be quiet. But Pedro thinks he has a mile, even though he's only got half of an inch. And I can't understand it. So why are you mentioning that you can sell the home yourself anyway, dude? The court said, this is a court fucking order, that this woman has to sell your house because of the shit that you're doing right now. Problem. Bringing problems. For what? For what? So when the closing cost, as I just mentioned, is a part of buying a home, there's your closing cost, your down payment. There's a lot of cost and fees that goes into it, because America doesn't want to make it easy for people to own, but they want to make it easy to get our money and taxes. Anywho, moving on. The closing costs come up, and the real estate agent's like, well, you guys are going to have to split the closing costs. And Chantel is like, I don't care, whatever it takes. I don't care if I have to pay or if that can be covered with the loan. Chantel doesn't care. That's how you know she's the one. That's not problem. I'm just saying. That's all I'm going to say. Because she's like, I'll pay whatever I have to get the hell away from him. And I heard that, because when a woman is truly done, she's done. She don't care what it's going to take. At this point, you sign the paperwork. Whatever we got to be done, do to be done. Because once Chantel and Pedro are done, I don't know what either of them will do. But I know that she has her BSN, and nurses make good money in pretty much all 50 states. And she also has social media, some new friends in elite circles. So I feel like they'll both be okay, especially Pedro in real estate in Georgia. Everybody moving to Georgia, Florida, Texas. Everybody's going there. So, Pedro just seems to want to make everything difficult. Chantel was like, whatever is easier and fastest to get the closing costs done. And Pedro wants to make it difficult, but he looked like torn and like, what? She really wasn't, you're not going to fight? Nope. Sign these papers. Let's get done. So Pedro then says he just acted a fool in this first episode, but I'm going to give Pedro grace, y'all. Every episode, I'm going to talk shit about the people the way they believe. We try to not be biased, but I'm like, the way he acted, Pedro acted a whole donkey, and I just didn't understand it. So then he's like, I want to come to the house to pick up some of my things, and she doesn't say anything. She doesn't say shit. He tries to talk to her. He says, I want to pick up, my table, my chair, the fucking video game chair he used to have that he loves. And Chantel looks at him and looked at the realtor. She said, I'm sorry, did you hear something? She meant it. I am not speaking to him. She said, did you, was that is there a bee buzzing around? Did you hear something? I'm cracking up. You gotta love Black women. When we done, we fucking done. And one thing about it, even if we go follow the rules, we go slide into, no, nigga, you don't get to talk to me. Remember, you didn't want to be with me? Did you hear it? What? Is it a bird? Also? Is it my cat? Like, she said, I don't know who's talking to me. I thought that was so funny. So, and I was happy she did that. She said to the confessional, she's like, it's interesting Pedro's talking about a chair because he signed a paper stating all of the furniture in the house, and we saw her lawyer say that, belongs to her. Everything in the house is hers except for his tools and clothes. That's what the paperwork said based on what we were shown. So you can't get your stuff. And what I would have said right in front of that lady, I would just carry my court order around like a restraining order with like important parts highlighted, knowing, because it's like, y'all divorcing, you know your man, even if he's not your man no more, you know him. I would have carried that in my purse and highlighted the sections of it and been like, to the realtor, would you please show him this part of our court order documents, which states that the only things in the home that he can take are his clothes and his tools? Would you explain that to him? That's all I would have done. Because what he gonna do? Go off, throw a fit because of the court document? Now you've got the lady there as a witness too. Y'all got to understand, when it comes to court, you can't play by the rules of the streets, the hood, whatever the fuck. You got to play by the rules of the court if you want to win. So that's what she should have done. But I was glad she didn't say anything, and she kept it cute. And she left after that because they're done discussing the house. The appointment was over. And he's just sitting there like, looking like, damn, like he genuinely, that's the part. I'm like, come on, Pedro. Like, why you gotta look like disappointed she didn't fall for it? Like, come on. Anywho, last thing, that was pretty much the last thing that we see in the episode. I thought it was a very good premiere episode. I personally thought it was. I appreciate everybody who tuned in, who's watching now, or if you are watching when I am not live anymore, watching our live replay, I especially appreciate you. I get a lot of views from that. You got to start from somewhere. I'm on the road to 1,000 subscribers. So if you like what you see, I do recaps for a lot of different shows. If there's a show that you would like me to recap, feel free to comment it, shoot me an email if you're on YouTube, a DM if you're on Facebook. What is it called? The TikTok or Instagram, any of that. And I will gladly look into more shows to recap, but that is all I have for the family. Chantel, season 5, episode 2, aka episode 1, because the last episode was something different. They are a mess. We do get to see what we'll get this season and some of the interesting things that we'll get to see that I decided to write down. Lydia's finally getting some dick, y'all. She is getting that eggplant emoji. Lydia is Pedro's mama. And I feel like the whole time I've watched this show, I have said it. This lady needs some good penis. She does. She's too angry and invested in everything else. Dick helps, relax you a little bit. Sex doesn't have to be a dick, whatever you like, But still, I'm just like happy to see that. And I'm curious if the man actually really belongs to her, because unfortunately, Lydia is a homewrecker. She likes to date people who are with other people. And I know it's wrong for the people who are in relationships to date her when they know they are. Everybody's wrong, but it's like Lydia really, really wrong. Then we see that Karen's going to be hiring a PI. Maybe not a good one because it looked like Pedro knows. It just looks overall like it's going to be a heavy season. So I will be here to recap the family Chantel with and for you beautiful thugs and humans every single Tuesday, sometime between 11 and 12. We were supposed to start this recap at 12, but I didn't feel like doing all of that. I was I wanted to get it out the way. I took a shower. I was like, let me get this done before I'm just like over today. Anywho, important updates for the channel for my subscribers. If you're not a subscriber, don't be scared. I don't bite. Go ahead and subscribe. But updates we have for today. In about 3 hours, I will be live on the Watch Your Mouth Reviews channel. That is the channel of my best friend of like 17, almost 20 years. It is up on your screen right now. You can go to youtube.com/@ Watch Your Mouth Reviews 833. I will be live on James's channel, and we will be discussing House of Villains, which is on E! Network. That was an interesting episode. And then we will also be going over Married to Medicine and Real Housewives of Potomac. Tomorrow, we will have more recaps where we will go over Basketball Wives LA and Orlando. And tonight on my channel, we will have a live song review tonight at 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. That would be 11 p.m. Eastern Standard, and I believe 10 p.m. Central Standard Time. So I will be having a song review. Feel free to submit music if you have music of an independent artist you want me to see. Other than that, I appreciate everybody for watching the video, and as we always do, we are going to end our live with a little jingle, a little jingle. We're going to do a dance. No, we're not going to do a dance, but we are going to end our live with music, as I always do, because our goal is to promote the independent artists. So I thank everybody for watching. I hope you like, comment, and subscribe. We're going to get into some Oh So Best featuring Chrome, and this song is titled Da 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 Da.
By this time, I'd have my own boat, my own car, my own golf course. You know what I want? Thought of this the other day. A line of blue, right? With my name written on the back of chick's ass. How that? That's not completely crazy.
Hit bitches wanna kill me too, but they can't. Hating on the kind of main part, one fake. A bam bam jamming with gas in the tap. I push a peanut to the pussy to the cookie stack. Freak a leak. Love a nigga who goes super deep. Dreaming about your boy every night like an American sire. If I name, then you call. The lippy in the sky if I ever do the ball. But I ain't know my dude, I'm on a doctor. I spot breeze to air like an adjuster. Cruising to the little man, never losing. So instead of nigga, also best who you fooling. What you gonna say when a nigga getting paid? You gonna hate or gonna congratulate? Do what you please, I don't give a middle beat. I jack a money to my break account and trip it green. I'm a beast, yep, I'm a boss. Mr. Oh so tender, I pays with a cost. It's oh so best. Hello, I rap like funk, I touch on home. I'm a pain nigga, Oakland is my home. Riding like wave is a model in our home. Who's next to mine from the town to shine? Might as well be me.
Hey, I can see you by your lonely. Little baby, listen closely. I know you wanna get to know me. Ain't no pressure. You keep moving at your pace. I can see you by your lonely. Little baby, listen closely. I love the way you move it slowly. So forever you my queen, my boo, my bae. I can see you want me solely. You got me thinking about the old me. Hey, even though my life ain't perfect, yeah, I'm the one you wanna post with. Hey, we popping bottles by the ocean. When I'm with you, I feel the motion. Full of feelings and emotions. It's like every second's golden. Hey, and little baby, you my queen, yeah. Don't gotta worry if I mean that. Conversations on the phone, yeah. Now you giving me your feedback. Cause I could really pull up on ya. I think tonight another moment. Shawty, we could rock forever. Don't you ever think I'm joking?
It's 3-5 in the morning, I supposed to be sick. I'm home like shit, but a nigga do creep. Yep, girl in my sheet, and yep, she weak. What for the Drake and the pussy I beat? I'm a beast.